What is up, everybody? WaitingForNextYear.com podcast, Commuting with Craig edition. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about Kareem Hunt. Now that a lot of the hot talk has really died down, there haven't been any new additions to the story, but I wanted to kind of wrap back around and talk about this issue because I just find it so interesting. First of all, I feel like I need to provide the same disclaimer that everybody else needs to provide, that I'm against violence against women. It's something that I do not support, I do not approve of, and that's pretty much where everybody starts with this conversation, and the whole thing is kind of goofy. It's like, do we really... I know we need to say that in some respects, but I don't think we actually need to say that at all. Because, like, have you ever met anybody who was not against it, who was for violence against women, who supported punching, pushing, kicking, or otherwise physically harming a female as a man? Have you ever met anybody who supported that? I just feel like while a lot of these things, I guess, do need to be stated, a lot of the outrage is really performative. Like, it says more about the person who's saying it, that they want to stand on the world's easiest pedestal to climb on top of. And I don't know. It's a weird kind of reflexive act that we have whenever these situations occur. And so now we're sitting in a scenario where the Chiefs cut Kareem Hunt because this video comes out of him getting into a hallway brawl in a hotel in Cleveland, where he loses his mind. Some girl hits him. He's pushing and shoving and screaming and yelling. He eventually pushes a guy that knocks the girl over, and then he kicks her. I've heard some people say he pushed her with his foot, which seems like a weird qualification to make. He generally acted in a really bad manner. He was out of control. He didn't do what he needed to do. He needed to get himself out of that situation, provoked or not. Like, there's no excuse for it, as we all know. But there's all this clamoring for the NFL to mete out punishment, and this is what really starts to bother me, because whether we're talking about Ray Rice, or I can't remember the name of the player for the Cowboys who there were pictures of the abuse, or Josh Brown, I think it was Josh Brown, the kicker for the Texans, who was accused by his ex-wife or girlfriend or something. The NFL stinks at meting out punishment for these kinds of things. And in some ways, I blame them because they're really stupid about it. But in other ways, I think it's kind of impossible. And I've talked about this before, but it comes back up again with Kareem Hunt. Like, all right, so now we've seen a video. There were no charges by the police. There's no indictment. So now everybody wants the NFL to be the arbiter of the moral arbiter. They want moral judgment to be cast by the NFL. And so now we're looking at what Kareem Hunt was involved with, and NFL fans are trying to figure out how it equates to numbers of games and suspensions, or, it's a kind of a gross thing. Like, now we're looking at a situation in a hallway where he's out of control and puts his hand on a woman, and our reference point is like Ray Rice is a 10, where it's X number of games for Ray Rice, and now we're comparing what Kareem Hunt did or what Ray Rice did to drug suspensions. And there's no way not to look like a hypocrite. There's no way not to look stupid. So I understand that Roger Goodell is a buffoon in many respects, and you can't really defend him, and I'm not defending him, but it's kind of an impossible task, because we're talking about a situation that should not be addressed by an NFL suspension, specifically. That's not the punishment for assault, battery, or beating up a woman, or whatever, domestic abuse or worse. NFL punishments should be related to the NFL drug policy or stomping on a player. Like, by the time you're taking very serious societal, cultural issues and you're trying to mete out a punishment of a number of games, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work, or at least it doesn't work well. I think that the further we get away from the NFL lobbying these penalties, the better off we are. Not that I think like Kareem Hunt's actions should be washed over and there should be nothing, but like I think for the NFL, it should be either you're employable or you're not. It should be a binary thing, like a light switch. Either it's on or it's off. So whether we're talking about Josh Brown, that dude from Dallas, or Kareem Hunt, either he's employable or he's not, and then it's up to the team to sign him or not. In Kansas City's case, they decided that the video was ugly, but even more importantly, their statement was that they felt that Kareem Hunt had lied to them. And that was the ultimate judgment that they had made when they decided to cut him and release him and say that he would never play for them again. And so that's fine. And now the NFL needs to figure out, all right, up or down, can he play or can he not? Is he somebody who's worthy of signing, of being employable in the NFL or not? And largely, despite the ugliness of that video and how out of control he was, like, I don't think that this is something that he can't come back from. Where you've got Michael Vick, who went to federal prison for dog fighting and interstate violations of interstate commerce clauses or whatever else. It's ugly, it's bad, it's wrong. But are you telling me Kareem Hunt can never work again in the NFL because he got himself into a bad situation, into a hallway brawl? Yes, even involving a woman. I don't know. I'm not so sure. And that's the real shaky ground. That's what's really hard to do. The other part of this situation that really intrigues me or bothers me is how we are outraged over Kareem Hunt brawling in a hallway because he plays for an NFL team and he has a contract with the Kansas City Chiefs and people are fans of his. But at the same time, are these same people outraged every time Deadspin posts a fight video from a Bills game, or a Steelers fan headbutts another Steelers fan in the face, and there are women punching men and women get caught up in some kind of brawl that's happening in the stands or in a tailgating parking lot? Or do people just kind of enjoy those things, right? Nobody's outraged. Nobody's screaming and yelling about football culture. And it just, there's something about an NFL player who has a higher profile that it's easier for people to be outraged and demand action. But at the same time, when we see these things week in and week out in NFL parking lots, NFL stands, between NFL fans, there's like a perverse enjoyment of them when they make Deadspin. And I know there are differences, I get it, but it seems wildly inconsistent for us as a culture to hold a guy like Kareem Hunt to some level of standard in terms of our own outrage and our moral outrage versus the way we handle the rest of society and NFL fans. And I don't know, it just, we wouldn't expect everybody's job to levy punishment. We expect culture and district attorneys and prosecutors and police forces to do that kind of thing. But because Kareem Hunt's a celebrity and the NFL is a professional sports league for our entertainment, we assign a certain extra level to them to mete out punishment. And I don't understand that. I think we got it backwards. And again, this isn't me saying what Kareem Hunt did was okay or we should just gloss over it. It's just to recognize how complex the situation is culturally and in the sport. It's very confusing to me. That's pretty much the only sports take I have today. I spent last night at a Death Cab for Cutie concert at the Agora in Cleveland. And like, not to be I was listening to that band before they were big, but Death Cab for Cutie is one of those bands. I've been seeing them live in small clubs since the late 90s. And of course now it's like you wait long enough and your favorite indie rock band kind of becomes adult contemporary, because it was a bunch of, older, suburban, professional, white-collar kind of crowd at the Death Cab show. Sure, you had some college hipster and post-college hipster type folks who were at the show, but for the most part, it was a lot of like lame adults, really, really lame adults at the Death Cab show. And I count myself among those lame adults, by the way. I'm not saying that I'm anything other than that. I'm a 39, soon to be 40-year-old man, married with 2 kids, living in the suburbs. I am that guy, so I get it. But it's just odd. Getting old is weird. Getting old is really weird. But I did see like kind of into my own future a little bit, because there was a dad there who was probably 5-6 years older than me, and he had his probably 12 or 13-year-old son there out on a school night checking out Death Cab, and I know that's going to be me. I can't wait until that's me. My oldest is 8, my youngest is 6, and you give me another 4 or 5 years when Ben and Will are 10 and 12 or 11 and 13, and you best believe I'll be buying a couple extra tickets, taking them out on a school night when they should otherwise be sleeping at home and in bed, because those are the experiences that I value in life. Those are the kinds of things that I've done my entire life since I was old enough that I felt like kept me not grounded, but like really refilled my batteries, recharged my batteries. Those are the things that I go to movies, I go to rock concerts, I take in that kind of art live, and it's the stuff that pumps me up. It's the stuff I look forward to. It keeps me going. Obviously there are professional things too that keep me going, and I love sports, but live music is just so huge in my life, and I will definitely be passing that along to my kids. So I can't wait. It probably won't be Death Cab, but whatever band it is. I took my oldest to see Tool 2 years ago. So I've already started that as a kind of a practice, something we will do as a family. And every time I go to one of these shows, whether I saw a father and son at Cloud Nothings, it pumps me up, because I know that's exactly where I'm going to be, in the next few years. So thanks so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Hope everything's going well this holiday season, whether you're celebrating Hanukkah or Christmas. We'll talk to you again soon. It's been the waitingfornextyear.com podcast.